this is James and I'm here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting December the 12th, 2016. This week I'm going to be doing a different type of card reading. I'm not going to be working with tarot, I'm not going to be working with Lenormand, and I'm not going to be working with angel cards. So at this point you're probably wondering, well, what am I going to be working with? This week I'm going to be experimenting with the Kipper cards, and so I'm going to be doing a Kipper card reading. And the deck that's going to be assisting me for this week's reading is the Mystical Kipper. It is by Regula Elizabeth Fiechter. The artwork is by Urban Trösch, and it is published by AGM. So a little bit of backstory. You know I love a backstory. So when I started with Lenormand, and that was at the end of 2014, about 8 months in, so this is around August of 2015, I was introduced to the Kipper card system by a fellow card reader here on YouTube. Her name is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I'll put a link to her channel in the description box below if you'd like to check her out. At the time, she was doing a tutorial on the Kipper card system, and it was very closely related or similar in some ways to the Lenormand system, and she encouraged me that if I got on with Lenormand the way I was at the time, that I might want to check out the Kipper cards. So literally right after watching a few of those videos, I went out and purchased the Kipper card deck that I'm going to be using for this video, because that was the only one that was available in my area at the time. And so I started working with the Kipper and Lenormand, still continuing my Lenormand study. And then somewhere around November of that year, I kind of put the Kipper aside and didn't really return to it until March of this year, 2016, when a new subscriber to the channel came across my Lenormand videos and thought that because she really got on with my style of reading Lenormand, she suggested Kipper and thought that I might really get on with Kipper. And so because of that suggestion, I got back into Kipper, and so I've been working with Kipper on my own, doing my own readings up until now. So I've been getting the itch to kind of get back into that more, and I thought this would be a great way to kind of experiment and incorporate it possibly into the Oracle Outlook series. It reminds me of something that I said with last week's video, and in that video, if you remember, I mentioned the leadership card. And the leadership card was an angel card from the Life Purpose Oracle cards, and when I mentioned it, I mentioned this aspect of it. Sometimes we in our lives can be looking at other people or situations and going, why doesn't somebody do this, or why doesn't somebody do that? Well, I had that experience with Kipper. Just like some of you who come to my videos, probably you also watch other readers' videos as well. I know I do that as well to support those who do similar work to myself. So I watched videos and I noticed that there were not a lot of English-speaking videos about Kipper, because Kipper is a German card reading system. So there's not a lot of people, English-speaking people, on this side of the world, since I'm in the States, who either work with Kipper or make videos about Kipper, and nothing really about Kipper all that I see anyway. So I thought, well, sometimes when we look, well, why doesn't somebody do this? I thought, because of what I said last week, I thought, well, I could be that somebody, so here I am. And then it was followed up with Oracle cards, which also showed up in last week's reading, and I thought, okay, so for me personally, because I'm a big believer in the readings that I present are not just for you, the viewer, but they're also, in some respect, for me as well. And so when I saw Oracle cards, I thought, okay, this might be the time to introduce a new divination system to this series. So that is my backstory. So now we're going to get into doing the reading for the week. So I'm going to be doing it similar to the way I present Lenormand card reading. So we're going to be doing a line of 5, and we are going to start by shuffling the cards, and I have the deck on the table right here in front of me. And just like I do in any of my other videos, we're going to be asking the question or setting the intention on getting information or guidance that's going to be helpful to us as we move through the upcoming week. I'm feeling one more time will be good. Now I'm going to cut the cards. going to spread them out, and I'm going to be picking 5 cards. I'm just picking out the ones in the line that speak to me. So now I'm going to be picking up the remainder of the deck, and I'm going to be putting it to one side. So now I have the cards that are making up the line. And just like I do with my Lenormand line of 5, I'm going to start with the middle card. And so this is very interesting. Okay, so the middle card we have is a journey. So when the journey card comes up, it can just represent, just like Lenormand, it can be quite literal. So a journey can actually mean literal travel. So it could be like we're focusing on travel, issues having to do with transporting something, since this is a transportation card as well. I'm going to go with, like I always do, I'm going to go with the more metaphorical, portion of the card. So it could just represent we're being asked to focus on our life journey, probably like we know where we are, could be looking ahead and saying, where do I want to go from this point moving forward? This is perfect for me doing something new, because this is a journey into presenting a different type of card reading system to my video reading series. So I like this for journey. So now, just like Lenormand, the card by itself says some things, but it gives us more information when we look at the cards that are surrounding it. So now I'm going to move to the other cards. So starting from left to right, we have a long way. Next to that, we have the marriage card. And on the other side, we have the rich, good gentleman. And then rounding out the line, we have a change. Okay, so I'm going to start like I always do with Lenormand. Same thing, I'm going to move one step out and then go to the outer cards. So on each side of a journey, we have the marriage card on the left and rich, good gentleman on the right. So starting with the marriage card, when the marriage card comes up, and I actually had a feeling this card was going to come up. The marriage card can represent a commitment. So it could be that we're looking at the progression or the journey, if you will, of our commitment. It could be, for somebody watching this video, it could be an actual marriage. Usually the marriage card, if it doesn't talk about marriage per se, it can just represent a serious, deep commitment. You know, something that we're engaged in. I tend to look at this as, contracts, because when this deck system was created, marriage at the time was a contractual agreement. So it could be something of that nature. It could be a contract. Usually with that, it's a sense of keeping your word, honoring your promises, keeping your vows, things of that nature. So that, to me, is what the marriage card is about. So again, but with the journey being what we're focusing on, it could just be like the progression of a commitment, a progression of a relationship, things like that. On the other side, we have the rich, good gentleman. So when the rich, good gentleman comes up, this card can be a person, because there are, unlike Lenormand, unless you look at Lenormand from the aspect of looking to the playing cards, this is a person card. So there are a few more people cards in Kipper than the traditional man, woman, and child. So rich, good gentleman is one of those cards. As a person, it can represent someone who is younger than us. So when I say us, I mean you and me. So we would be considered either the main male, which would be me, or any male who's watching this video. And if you're a woman, you would be considered the main female if the card showed up. So the rich, good gentleman is usually somebody who's younger than us. So that would be, could be a relationship going with the other side. Remember, marriage was about commitment. So it could be a relationship, a commitment to a younger person. And then with the journey in the middle could be seeing where that's progressing. So it could be, just to make this relative, if you are a woman, let's say, watching this video, then the rich, good gentleman could be, a son, could be a brother, maybe a younger brother or sibling, could be a nephew, a cousin, again, somebody who would be younger than you. So that would be one aspect. If that doesn't relate, then the rich, good gentleman can also be, I tend to look at him as something having to do with business or finances. Now, keeping it relative, because I always like to share some aspect of myself and then see how that may relate to you or how you can relate it to based on what I'm saying. So for me, the rich, good gentleman can represent self-employment. So since I'm a self-employed person, this is very interesting because the marriage card then would be like a commitment to my self-employment ventures, going with journey being in the middle, being a venture. It could also be too in terms of exploring using the Kipper in this reading series. Then it would be, the investment of my time, my energy, my resources in that endeavor. So I'm seeing that. So the rich good gentleman can actually be a person. It would be somebody who may be younger than you, or it could be, having to do with business, finances, and investment. Now, this is not probably a typical, Kipper way of looking at the card, but I'm looking at the image, and he is playing chess. So sometimes this could be about having a strategy. So if we go with the journey being about moving forward or making some sort of progress, then the rich good gentleman could also be too, like, what is the strategy that you have to make that progression? Where do you see yourself going, and what's the strategy you're going to have to get yourself there? So I'm seeing that. And then, of course, combining a journey and a rich good gentleman could literally mean like a young person or a business person is going abroad or, travels for business. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. And then maybe going with that, because this just occurred to me, like if that is the case, if maybe someone is committed to a person who travels a lot for business, how does that impact your relationship? If this person is maybe traveling a lot, that may be something that you might want to look at because it may be affecting the progression of the relationship. So I'm seeing those as some possibilities with that. Now going with the outer cards. On the left we have a long way. So a long way comes up when, and it's very interesting starting out the week because I tend to look at the first card in the line as either something that we need to know at the beginning of the week, or it's starting off the situation that we're being shown. So a long way comes up when we're being asked to look at something from the lens of being patient, because the progress that's being made is a long way off, or it's going to be something that happens down the road, something of that nature. And it's very interesting with the journey, and the long way could just represent a journey that's going to take some time and have to be patient with. So that's a long way. And then on the end we have a change. So on this side we have a change, and so basically change just represents some kind of change. It could be a move. So it's very interesting, we have a journey and a change here, but we have a movement. So there could be something of that, but it usually represents some form of change. And at the end of the line, it could be saying too, like maybe something that started off at the beginning of the week, that maybe it's been something we've been waiting for, or something that's a long time coming, or some event or situation that we want to see some progress on, going back to the journey being the focus. It could seem like the focus or the change that we want to create or the progress we want to see is a long way off. But with the change card at the end of the line, it shows that some change has taken place. So going to the first two cards, I tend to look at them as a pairing. And so here we have a long way and a marriage card. So now it could just be a need for being patient in regards to a contractual agreement, a commitment, a relationship, something of that nature. But it could be just requiring us to be patient. And it could be, since this first card a long way is, starting off the line, it could be we're entering into the situation, we're coming into the week, already have been waiting for some time. Because this card usually indicates like some time. Usually I tend to look at it as like, a situation that maybe started sometime a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, because I believe one of the names of this card is called 2 years patience. So as the start of the line, it could be suggesting to like something that we started. It's not something that just started overnight. It could be something that's been a long time coming. So, well, a long time in the works, I should say. So that's a long way in marriage. And then on the other end, we have rich good gentleman. So another thing that I learned about Kipper is that direction is very important. So a rich good gentleman is actually facing the change card. So it could literally mean a young person is facing some kind of change. By the end of the week, this young person that is symbolized by the rich good gentleman will be embarking on some kind of change. Now, if it's not about a person, then it could be, like I said, a business change. It could be a financial change. It could be like seeing some change with your strategy. If I go with the image and look at this as strategy, then the change card at the end would be, seeing how you can tweak. Maybe you have a strategy, but it might need some adjusting, it might need some changes for the progress that you want to see made happen. So I'm seeing that as a change. So this is how I would read the line. So starting off by, we're looking at the progression within an existing relationship or honoring a commitment, something that we've already invested some time and energy in, because like I said, a long way off means that we're already in it and we're just waiting for it to kind of move into its next stage or phase. And then, like I said, with the rich, good gentleman, it could actually be the relationship actually involves another person. It could be, if it's a business relationship, let's say, then it could involve a business partner. And then the strategy, or employing a strategy or coming up with a strategy as how we're going to get this thing, this venture, moving forward. If it is a business venture, could just be too that, there could be a trip planned with someone that you are in a relationship with, and it's about like planning that trip out. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. And then at the end of the week, we may be making some plans. So this is a week where we're being asked to be patient and possibly being flexible and adjustable, flexible and adaptable. That's the word I was looking for with our plans. So on that note, I will wrap up this week's reading. So this has been the Oracle Outlook with the Kipper cards this week. And I am Jameson Mitchell. And as I sign off, I want to first thank you for sharing the space here with me for this week's reading. And I look forward to sharing the same space with you in our next video reading together. So until then, I'm hoping that you have a wonderful day, and I'm hoping that you have a wonderful week. And until we get together in the next video, take care.